Good morning. I'm headed out to the range to test a new gun today. I'm a big fan of the 22 long rifle. I think that it's a great cartridge. I think that it has some tremendous applications as a prepper, survival, bug out, shit hit the fan type cartridge. Also, it's a great one for getting small game. And I also think that it has a tremendous potential as a home defense cartridge. I understand it has some shortcomings, but it also has a lot of things going for it. It's very easy to handle, very easy to aim, and it's not very intimidating for someone who might not be able to practice as much with a Magnum round. I have a couple of Ruger Mark IIs and a Ruger Mark III. They're great guns. I love Ruger. I think it's probably one of the best rimfire guns ever made. But one thing that I wanted was a rimfire gun that would allow me to practice and use a similar gun with similar sights, trigger, feel, balance, and everything as the guns that I normally use for self-protection. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm a big fan of the M&P line. I love Glocks and SIGs and Taurus, and actually I'm a big fan of Taurus. I love most guns. I mean, I really do. I love guns. But the M&Ps are the guns that I think I'm probably the most partial to. I have one of the guns that I've had a long time is a M&P 357 SIG. This gun right now has a 40 barrel in it. I also have a 9mm barrel for it. With the 9mm, you have to use a different magazine. With the 40 or the 357, it's the same magazine. I carry this gun a lot, and I also have a 9mm compact I carry a lot. And I wanted a 22 that complemented it, that would allow me to practice at the range with a gun of similar feel and style and trigger and sight picture and everything, but to practice a little bit cheaper than the 40 cal ammo, even though 40 cal ammo is not astronomically expensive. You know, $21, $22 for 50 versus, you know, $4, $5 for 50. That's quite a bit of difference when you practice a lot. So I picked up an M&P 22. It is size-wise, I mean, the footprint is identical to that of my M&P 357/40 or 9. And it is a little bit lighter. That's because I believe it has an alloy slide rather than a black stainless slide with a melanite coating or whatever the M&P has on it. So that does make a difference in the weight. One of the things I found, though, in addition to the sights and the feel being the same, is the trigger is almost identical. And I was afraid that the trigger would really be substandard on the Rimfire, because the Rimfire is quite a bit cheaper gun, but the trigger is really good on this. This gun supposedly can be dry fired. I don't dry fire my Rimfires a lot, just because I believe that the firing pin can strike the edge of the chamber, and over a period of time it can kind of blunt your firing pin a little bit. I may be wrong on that, it's just a personal belief. But anyway, I'm going to shut this down, go to the range, and then I'll come back with some final thoughts on what I think of the M&P 22 and how I feel about my choice. One of the things I wanted to point out was there's quite a bit of difference in the way these two guns disassemble. The M&P 40, like all of the centerfire M&Ps, is a gun that you first remove the magazine, then you find something to depress the, I don't remember what they call this, the sear, the something or other, I believe it's the sear down in there. Once you do that, you pull your disassembly lever down. I don't really have any way to see whether, I believe I'm in the film there. And then when you let this come forward, it slides off as a unit like most of your centerfire pistols. And then you can remove the spring assembly and the barrel. And it's pretty similar to the XDs, the Glocks, most of the guns. To put it back together as a unit, it goes back together the same way. The slide goes on, comes back into place, locks. Then you move your trigger sear. I actually a lot of times do it with my fingers, but you move it back up into place there, or down, and then the gun will stay together, and it's ready to fire. It's really pretty simple. I mean, I own several M&Ps, and I've done it a lot, so I'm pretty used to it. I find it to be a simple system. A lot of people don't like having to manipulate that sear pin or whatever. The 22, it took me a minute. I should have actually on the 22. Let me put the little tool back in there on that. The 22, I should have read the instructions, and I did. It took me a minute to figure it out, but it actually comes apart more like a lot of rimfires with the barrel fixed in place. Like I say, you bring the cocking lever down, and then it actually just works its way loose and turns and comes completely out. The slide then comes off like all of the guns with the fixed barrel, and the slide comes off, lifts up from the back. It's similar to the Makarov and some of the Walthers, which this is a Walther combination. Then you reverse the process to put it back together, just drop the slide back on top of it. At that point, it's just a matter of getting the little pin in the right place there and then snapping it back into place. It's actually probably in a way a little simpler to do than the 40 is. Like I say, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. Anyway, I'm going to spin this camera around, shoot the 22 a little bit just to show you the reliability of it. I'm a big fan of it, and of all of the M&P series, and I think the 22 will be no different. Okay, I'm going to shoot the M&P 22. First, I'm going to run 10 through it, just make sure everything feeds good. Then I'm going to move over and try to shoot a group with it. We'll see how accurate it is. Um, 10 in a row. Yeah, I mean, I expected it to feed fine, and it does. So that didn't shock me at all there. I'm going to move up, shoot a group at 7 yards with it, see what kind of group I can put together. We'll run down there and take a look at it after I shoot it. Had on the first ones, I had one failure to go into battery. It hung just a little bit. That actually surprised me a little, but I am shooting. I don't know if you can actually see it in the camera or not. I'll try to get up here. It is a all lead hollow point Winchester, and so I mean it is a somewhat tough round to feed. The group's not too bad. I believe there again, I think it'll do better. See if I can actually find it there without hauling the camera down there. That's the group. That's I think that's 22 rounds at 7 yards. The first few were a little high, then I changed the sight picture just a little bit The gun's obviously set for 25 yards, so it's shooting a little high at 7. The cluster there at the bottom is the last, oh, I'd say probably 18 to 20 of those, maybe. I don't know. The magazines hold 12, but I think I only put 10 in one and 11 in the other two. But anyway, I'm going to load them up and try one more time. Now that I've got a little better idea where the sight picture is, I'll see if I can get a little bit tighter group with it. We'll walk down there and try again. I've got a little better idea where to hold. I'll see if I can get a little bit better group with the M&P 22. Better. Still, I think the gun will do better. Again, I had a couple of failure to feeds, both on the first round after the initial shot. Like I say, it may just be that the gun doesn't like this ammo. It may need a little bit of breaking in. I don't know, but there's my group that time, and that's 36 rounds. There's a couple right there. Both of those, sorry about that. Let me get this, try to get this in place there. Wow. No wonder I can't shoot. Both of the high ones there I touched off without meaning to. I was trying to take the gun just to trigger reset and then pull the trigger. And both of those actually went off a little early. Not anything wrong with the gun, just you know, me not being used to the trigger. But anyway, I think that's pretty good. Like I said, that's 36 rounds. This is the first time I've shot the gun. If you count those down there, I mean, you're talking about 36 and close to 30. You're talking about, you know, a box of ammo, like I say, out of a gun I haven't shot before. So I don't think that's too bad. It's more, you know, I'm sure it's capable of more than that. But like I say, I'll play around with it just a little bit more and then see if I can get maybe even a little bit better group out of it. I'm going to move down there to 7 yards and just leave the camera zoomed in on that dot so you can see the group as it's forming. I've shot it a little bit more. I think I'm a little more comfortable with the trigger, and I'll see if I can get something that's a little more like the the group that I think the gun ought to be able to shoot at 7 yards. Kind of typical with me, the first 4 or 5 were really good, and then I started thinking about how good I was shooting instead of paying attention to what I was doing. The sight picture, I don't know how I got it changed, but I changed the sight picture a little and moved the group up, but still, I mean, that's 12 shots, 7 yards. And like I say, that's still, I've got less than 150 rounds through this gun, and I just don't have any doubt it's going to be a very accurate gun as I get used to the trigger. I'm going to shoot a group with my 40 just at the same distance, 7 yards, just see what I can do and see if I can keep them anywhere. If I can keep my 40 group that close, I'll be pretty tickled. This will be 7 yards with the 40 kind of as a comparison. This is actually some odd ammo. It's American Eagle, but it's 180 grain lead bullets, so we'll see how it does. Be interested to see if this lead stuff even feeds. You want to shoot that at 22? Well, as you can see, the group's not too bad, but it's not as tight as the 22. I didn't expect it to be. But like I said, I just kind of wanted to get an idea. It's amazing how similar the triggers are. The 22 is a great complement to the centerfire M&Ps in that it lets you practice and use a very similar gun with almost no recoil. I'm actually quite impressed with it. I think it's a heck of a deal. I don't know that it's a better gun than the Ruger 22s, but it's a heck of a 22. Well, I'm back. The M&P 22 shot great. I put maybe 200 rounds through it. I never really got quite as tight a group as I think it's capable of, and I did have a few failure to go into batteries. I was using a Winchester all lead hollow point with a pretty big open hollow point on it. I think that had something to do with it. Plus, I did not clean the gun. I'm not the world's greatest gun cleaner. I tend to put that off kind of like an oil change on a car. And the other thing is, when I buy a new gun, I never clean it. So, you know, between the two, that's probably what it was. I'm going to go back out after I give the gun a thorough cleaning and shoot it with some jacketed, you know, copper-plated ammo like CCI Mini Mag, something like that. I think that'll get rid of the reliability issue. I picked the little gun up pretty cheap. I mean, I think retail on this gun is about $3.5, $365. It comes with 2 mags, and I mean, it's just, you know, I think it's a bargain. I think that a good rimfire is an investment. You can hand it down. I think that, you know, that you'll never really lose any money on it. And should we actually have an economic downturn, I think that a good rimfire would be a tremendous gun to have in your arsenal. And like I say, it also make a very good self-defense gun. I hear a lot of arguments, but if you, I believe that if you pop somebody 6 or 8 times or 10 times or 12 times in the center of the chest with a jacketed, solid 40 grain 22 long rifle round, I believe that that's going to be, you know, a good self-defense weapon, and it's certainly going to be a lot better than no weapon. A guy on one of my other videos said a high point in your hand is a lot better than a Glock on layaway. I feel the same way about a rimfire. A rimfire in your hand is a lot better than not having a center fire because you can't afford it, or you can't afford to practice with it, or you're intimidated to shoot it. I mean, any gun is better than no gun. And any gun as a backup is better than not having a backup. I think the M&P 22 was a tremendous gun. It was a great shooting gun. I loved the trigger. I loved the sight picture. It was very pleasant to sit out there and rack off a couple hundred rounds without the the noise and the shock that you get. I mean, I shoot a lot, but still, if you shoot 200 or 300 rounds in a day, which is pretty common, you know, for a lot of people, myself included, by the end of the day, you're just tired from all of the muzzle blast and the shock. And this just makes a much more comfortable way to practice, and a lot more affordable way to practice. Like I say, I have nothing against my Ruger Mark IIs. They're great guns. I've got a high standard revolver 22. It's a great gun. In fact, I have several rimfires. They're great guns, but I don't have anything that is a battery mate to my center fire that I use for self-defense. And this allows me to have a gun that's very similar to practice with and to carry, that I'm very familiar with, and I just think that's a smart tactical advantage to do that. That's strictly my opinion. Anyway, if you need an inside the waistband holster, check me out. I make a great IWB holster. I'm still just 40 bucks. Most of the big companies are up there now, $80, $90, and you know, my holster is as good or better than anybody's on the market, and it's a lot cheaper. So give me a look if you're interested in an inside the waistband holster. It's fightingear.com. I'll try to get some more videos up. Shoot me an email if you got a question about something, and I sure appreciate you checking out my stuff. Thanks.